Which paradigms do you feel like think and would like to see to be challenged in your fields of expertise uh, for humanity in general, however you would like to go forth?
Yeah, that's a big question. It's, I guess it would be a, a mix of a capitalist point of view, like what I see as a problem with, I guess, Western society right now is that everybody thinks that they're entitled to be super successful and have lots of money, and that everyone has the ability and the opportunity to do that, which actually leads to a lot of frustration and stress. And so having this sort of ideal on the plate, like we're sort of, I guess, raised a bit, at least my generation was, to think, well, you have all the opportunities in the world, you can do anything you want, et cetera, et cetera. When in fact, globally, that's just not possible. And it's also unlikely because if everybody could be have all this money and have all of this whatever you define as success, it would be it just that's not how humanity seems to work. um, Everyone can't be on this level. It seems like we are vertically operating. When you think about even the animal kingdom, or how we classify plants and all of our biology, it's all very much a vertical classification. So despite the fact that everyone wants to believe that we can all be all of this, I'm not so sure that's achievable or even like a good idea. And so it's then you leave people unsatisfied with a simple life. Like if someone just wants to do just this, they're kind of made to feel like, well, that's not okay because you're not achieving your maximum potential, and you could do all of this. I mean, I think even the same thing happens in religion. There's everything from someone who just very almost never does participate in their religion, all the way up to the most pious, your Sufi, your monks, everything. And like that you should be always striving towards the ultimate of enlightenment. And if you're not, you're somehow like a bad Christian or a bad Muslim or whatever. And so there's sort of like this weird shaming thing where it's like, can we not just find a way to be okay with where we're at? And so I fault capitalism ultimately, although there's really no other um, like financial paradigm that I could think of that would work well for all of humanity. We've tried socialism, but I think there's too much greed in humans in order to actually achieve that in any kind of idealistic type of way. Like there's no utopia. And I'm wondering if people could get okay with that. And then social media also doesn't help with all of these types of stories and posts and everything. Everyone just, it's a big bragging session of here's all the great stuff I do. Either that or it's a dumping ground where people are telling everybody everything about their depression and everything. And it's like, I'm not sure that that's such a good thing. So I mean, I don't have a solid answer for your question, but maybe, I mean, capitalism isn't working. Like in the long run, it's just going to keep causing problems. So a financial paradigm shift definitely needs to happen. And then I think um, by by nature, the environmental paradigm will shift along with that because those two things are super connected. Um, we're overpopulated in most areas. There's too much of a difference in equity. very rich, very poor, lots of poor people. There's really no reason for it other than people just want to keep their money, right? So that's a big question. I would start with capitalism. That would be the first thing to start with. And social. I hope that this social media stuff is a phase. I don't know what's coming next. I wish I did, and then I could get on that train. But it's I don't think social media, as in its current state, is very helpful to society. I would love to see some type of that's something that could immediately happen. I mean, it's really relatively new, and so it could potentially disappear just as quick. But it's as the way that it's formed right now, I think it's really detrimental to people. I don't know. What's your thought on that?
Social media in particular, or everything you say?
Well, okay, everything, but social media in particular.
Well, I think how social media is developing is definitely not healthy in various aspects. I think most of social media is just, well, similar as you said. At the one hand, you have a lot of people dumping a lot of things. At the other hand, you have a lot of people just showing off. And in any case, it is to a big extent very superficial, showing a very superficial life. We live within social media bubbles, like perhaps also in real life. There is a true potential of course, connecting in different ways with people. But when we look at social media, how old is it now? It's like 15 years approximately. So when we look at how things evolve and cultures evolve, it's very young, at a very young stage. And I'm pretty sure that at the stage when it's 50 or whatever, that it will be very different in many respects. So I think it can develop in a good way. But at the moment, really, I think also when it comes to communication, to politics, to the spread of fake news, for example, a lot of hatred, a lot of misinformation, and so on and so forth, that's a major problem. It's a big problem. It creates a superficial, there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of superficiality. So that's all the negative part. But the basic possibilities through social media, I think they are good.
Yeah. I mean,
That
we
you
wouldn't be
get
talking right now if it wasn't for social
exactly,
media. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah. So it definitely has human beings tend to not, I wish they use things more for good than for evil, kind of, so to speak.
exactly.
Yeah.
When it comes to our current economic system that rules the world, I personally think that there's a reason why we do have, well, we have had this system until now. Capitalism, from my perspective, has been created in a time when there were no corporations. So the rules that have been defined, the ideas that have been defined for capitalism were when one grocery store was competing with another grocery store, not organic store around the corner with I don't know, Walmart, for example.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and this is the situation we're having right now. As you said, there's a direct connection also to the environment and what's going on in the environment. I personally think that the paradigm of profit maximization has to, and potentially with the crisis that's coming up, might be challenged by a paradigm where it's about creating purpose in life. There is a true chance. I believe there is potentially, I mean, my perspective really is if we make it through this crisis with a system change in many respects, and one of it is capitalism, not because it is bad, but it's just not the system anymore. It's 200 years old, and it's not the system anymore that's suitable for our current times and the future.
Yeah.
So I think what this crisis that I believe is coming up, if it hits us hard enough, and if we are forced to make major changes, then we have a true chance to actually transcend to a next level of humanity. And that would include the operating system that our world is run by, and this is basically our economy. And capitalism is not the system that is, from my perspective, is not the system that is suitable in a world with these environmental problems that we have, and not suitable for a world with exponential technologies that we have right now, and the direction it's heading to. So this is my personal opinion.
Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, no,
Let's
that's
see.
true.
Let's
It's
see.
I've seen a
All right.
lot of over the last, I'd say, 5 years, what's called impact investing. So, and investors are changing their minds on the types of things that they're investing in, where it's not just about the return anymore. And so I see that growing. Social innovation, social entrepreneurship, I see that growing a lot. So that's definitely good news. And this is why I'm involved in those types of projects, because that's
Yes.
the kind of thing that I want to move forward.